Friends, welcome back to NRI Samay. This is Srihari. Today we'll have our guest Seetaramanjaneyulu. He is IPS and IG of Andhra Pradesh Police. The host for today's show will be Usha Garu. Usha, please take it over.
Yeah, hi dear friends. We have with us today a police officer who has come to be a legend of sorts in AP police scenario. He has a lot of firsts and achievements to his credit, also some controversies. It has been found that during the last decade and a half or so that he has been in service, he has had a great following in communities across the state. And is also recognized as a police officer who follows rather unconventional methods. So much so that a couple of Telugu feature films were made on him. Taking him as a role model and as a lead character. Welcome to NRI Samay, Mr. Seetaramanjaneyulu. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you very much, Shagar. Thank you.
Sir, we look forward
pleasure to be there with you.
We look forward to hearing your views today on a whole of range of issues concerning policing in AP.
Yeah, absolutely.
My first question is on something that is a bit of it's a bit ambiguous. What do you think essentially is the ground level perception of people concerning our policemen in our state?
The general perception of the people about the police is, that the police is generally corrupt, and it only helps the people who have either money or in power. Is a general perception of the people, the common man.
Yes.
When there are 95% of the people rarely interact with the police.
Yes.
But they still enjoy this perception, they entertain this, and they build over this.
Yes.
And it's something like, even I have never interacted with a policeman till I joined in the service. But that's a feeling which I used to go, generally that is the thing. I don't say that there is not corruption in the system.
Yeah.
But there is something much more to that, and there are a number of many good things which these people do, but it just doesn't get acknowledged or credited for, because when you do a good thing that's part of your job, you're expected to do it.
Yeah.
But when you don't do the right thing, and when you get lost in the system of corruption or even manipulation, that gets highlighted, because police primarily is an instrument of the state.
Yeah.
So if there is a state policy, whether it is electricity agitation, the tariffs are increased, and finally people come and agitate, and it is finally the police is the which one comes and acts on behalf of the state. The agitations are stopped. They sometimes lead to firing, as it happened earlier in the past. And finally, the entire anger of the people turns against the police.
Okay.
So obviously, the police gets the bad name. In some cases, maybe it deserves it. In a large number of cases, it takes even the blame for which it's not responsible for making the policies.
Okay. What would you say is the most major challenge, that the AP police is facing now at this point of time?
At this point of the time in the state, primarily is because of the separatist agitations which have been in focus in terms of the division of the state, which is being rallied by certain political parties wanting Telangana. So you have your own force, which is, in the Telangana region, you have Telangana people themselves sometimes forced to act against the same Telangana people who are agitating for the state.
Yeah.
So, in all likelihood, let's say most of the police people who also belong to this Telangana may actually crave for Telangana. But they are forced to act against this.
Yes. Okay.
Second is the large number of Andhra police people who are in favor of the Andhra unified state of Andhra Pradesh. In case they are even forced to, posted to Telangana region, and even if they act actually dispassionately or impartially, they are being discredited by Telangana, the political leadership, or otherwise, saying that you are all Andhra people, so you are acting against the Telangana people. So this is some kind of a very big dilemma which is being faced by the force as such.
Okay.
And in the last 2 years, I think because of the agitations for the separate statehood, that's been the biggest challenge.
Okay. What are other challenges? Because I think terrorism is touted as a major challenge.
See, fighting the extremism, one of the biggest challenges was once upon a time in Telangana region and parts of Andhra, Orissa border and parts of Nanamala. That was there. The second is the terrorism which is based on out of ISI-based terrorism or out of Hindu fundamentalists.
Yes.
Because we have had both those incidents happening in this state. So that is more of a very, very highly professional work, and the state as such has got very professional agencies which are capable of handling either of these terrorism, the Maoist terrorism or the ISI/Hindu fundamentalist-based terrorism. So that keeps continuously happening, and it's got a much larger ramifications for the country. So whatever happens even in Andhra Pradesh has an impact across the country.
Yes.
So there are challenges, but the police forces are being geared for because the police leadership and the government, irrespective of the political parties which have been in power, they've been very visionary, they have been very progressive. All of this doesn't get reflected across, and they have been very helpful in strengthening and consolidating specialized agencies which have been fighting this forms of terrorism which is affecting the state.
Okay. So I think probably we'll go back to Telangana a little later. I'm sure a lot of our listeners would have questions on that. But if we are not wrong, now you are in charge of Greyhounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since you're on Greyhounds, can we know a little bit of what is happening with the Maoist movement? Regarding the leadership and what happens to people caught in the crossfire and various action that has been launched at various places. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, see, the Greyhounds is obviously an anti-extremist commando force which is raised by the state government.
Yeah.
It's a vision of Mr. Vyas, but however, it was the state government which raised it, and then it has continued. In Andhra Pradesh, primarily, we have been able to contain the extremist activities, although it's still a little bit is active in the Andhra, Orissa borders and the Telangana bordering with Chhattisgarh and parts of Maharashtra. But by and large, they are not active. But the leadership across the Maoist movement, which has spread itself into Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Bihar, and all this, a lot of leadership is from Andhra Pradesh, including West Bengal.
Okay.
In Andhra, it is right now under control, but doesn't mean that they are not capable of pulling out something very drastic. So the police and the other agencies keep a watch out for that. Yeah, it does happen that sometimes there is collateral damage. There is people who are caught between the fire between both the groups. There is collateral damage. The state and the enforcement agencies try to minimize it.
Yeah.
It sometimes happens. It's very highly regretted, and no agency wants to undertake this kind of collateral damage, but it just sometimes gets caught on. But as of now in the state, the movement is absolutely under control.
It's completely under control. What about the general law and order situation? Would you consider it as under control?
Absolutely. I see, when I say general law and order scenario, I'm going to say in terms of the basic, in terms of the normal person who goes on the streets who's affected. Who's not majorly affected with agitation. There are incidents of, isolated murders. There are incidents of property offences. These have been happening earlier, may keep happening earlier. The police keeps doing it. But sometimes when they get locked up with agitations and various other things, these take sometimes a back seat. But otherwise, by and large, absolutely law and order has been under control in the last, in the last 15 years.
Okay. So can you tell us something about, there's been a lot of talk about modernizing police force, put new training and then equipping with them with new arms and ammunition. What is the status of that? What is happening with that? Are we really, honed? Do we have honed skills which make them capable of handling any kind of situation, that affects law and order?
Yeah. The modernization of police force is something primarily which is undertaken by the central government, because any modernizing, you require a lot of funds. You equipping them with adequate skills, the latest skills, or equipping them with latest equipment or even weapons and all requires a lot of money. So it's primarily undertaken by the central government. Central government under the scheme gives funds to the state government, and the state government also contributes some amount, and they keep doing it. So it's a very continuous process. In the last almost since let's say 99 onwards, this has been going on, and after 2004 again, the change of government, they have continued the same policy. In fact, they have increased it further. So funds keep coming, so you keep doing it. It's a continuous process where, the special forces acquire their special weapons, latest skills. Just giving them equipment or even weapons is not sufficient, because you have to equip them with management skills as well as the special skills to handle these things. So it's a continuous process, and it keeps going on. There's always something more that can be done. There's nothing, no doubt about that. I won't say that, this is the end or something like that. Something more can be done. Something further can be done much better manner. The police leadership here as well as the political executive, either at the state or at the center, also keeps looking at it, keeping in view of the changes which are happening across the country. So it's going on. It's satisfactory, but we can definitely do more.
Okay. Of late, as you said, when people remember the bad things about police for a longer period than the good came, of late we have had several controversies. One was Mr. Dinesh Reddy's case, and then Mr. Umesh Kumar, that episode. And then there were accusations within the police force between IPS officers of harassment. One DIG had to face it. So given this, do you think the police credibility has taken a beating? Does it affect, because we've been talking about the perception, do you think it has eroded the credibility of the police force?
See, I've been always telling you this, the things, the names which you've mentioned, the present DGP or the other DGP. See, these are all, a lot of things which comes in the media, here, the police officers can't come out and talk about them as to what exactly happened. See, for the various reasons, being in, in bureaucracy, various other things you can't keep on talking. Isolatedly, sometimes these things happen. You mentioned the case of Mr. Dinesh Reddy sir or Mr. Umesh Kumar sir. Yeah. Much of it is more out of the media happening, and what actually happened is something I don't think at this point of time I can share it, because both of them are in the service, and it's not something which is purely departmentally something. A lot of things keep happening. That's something exactly what happened. I can't share it with you. Maybe over a period of time, the media itself would realize the truth. Yeah. The recent spat between the SP and the DIG, which has also progressed, purely again, it's something which should not happen, but then has happened. Your question is whether these kind of things impinge on the credibility of the police. Definitely, I told you, initially the people generally have a very less perception or a good perception about the police. So obviously it impacts, and they feel that, these people are fighting themselves. Yeah. And what help can they be of to the common man? Yeah. Irrespective of this, the system keeps moving on. Irrespective of who is an individual, the great thing with bureaucracy is the system keeps moving on. And the general terms of handling either law and order problems or agitations or various other things, these things just keep happening. Yeah, obviously people may have, there would be some people who would be favoring one particular SP or some other DIG. Each will be having that other person is incorrect. But most of the time these opinions are, put across by the media. And it becomes difficult for the officer or as a system, even for the government, to put across what exactly happened. Most of the time, the common man would know, and I don't think he needs to know also. However, yeah, the perception gets here and there beaten up, but then that's okay. That's part of the system.
Yeah, so daily business goes on essentially.
Daily business goes absolutely on as such.
Yeah, and every time we hear of postings or transfers, there is talk of political pressure, but that some political leader wanted somebody there. And there are many names that can be taken, but I'm sure you know that, and so do our listeners. So how much of it is real? How much of it is probably conveyed through media? And how does it work? Does it really get in the way of policing?
See, I'll tell you something simple as this. I won't say that, the politicians don't make a request or a representations. All the IPS officers postings are decided by the government. The chief minister is the one who posts, which is absolutely, that is as per the order. And at various levels, these things keep happening. But no politician, wants to, see, he's there for 5 years. He knows he's there for 5 years. And, if he doesn't do well, that he's out. And the bureaucrat is there in for a service for 32 to 36 years. Longer period during his career. It could be an inspector, SI, it could be an IAS officer, it could be anyone else. Yes. So most of the time when a politician, and any politician, including an MLA, Mandal president, whoever is worth his salt, has a right to represent. And there's nothing wrong in, asking, so and so, this person I want and that person he wants. Yes. But finally, the powers that are there, the government and with the police officers. I have also had a lot of representations from politicians during my career. Some of them have made even better representations than I would have done actually, and they've given valuable information. There are also cases where people have not represented, like you have not fair police officers, they could be also not fair politicians. But wherever it is convenient for the bureaucracy, I have found that, bureaucracy blames the politicians because generally, the police people have poor perception about police officers, they have much lesser perception about the politicians. So police officers also push it onto the politicians whenever it suits them, and then they blame the politicians. But I have found a lot of politicians with a lot of vision and who have, for the simplest reason that the Andhra Pradesh state government, irrespective of the political parties, has been able to handle terrorism and extremism is because whatever may be the competence and efficiency of the police leadership, there has been absolute political will and the leadership at the political executive, irrespective of the parties. And I would say in the last 15 years it was Mr. Chandrababu Naidu and then subsequently late Dr. Y.S. Rajshekar. They were very clear and they gave a free hand in handling these things. Okay. They never came in the way and they never said that, okay, you do this. And even ministers also, they never came in the way because they realized that unless they handle these things, it's not. However, when it comes to a local representative, obviously they would make a issue. See, after all, he's a political representative, people go and represent him. See, this is happening. There are instances where they bring when the police officers don't act fairly. Okay. Sometimes they are also biased towards their own police officers. As I have said, if there is not a fair politician, there is also equal number of not fair police officers. So blaming totally the political executive for all the blame ills of the police force and for all the greatness, it is just the pure police force. I don't agree.
Yeah, but as an extension of that question, we would like to know what happened with the liquor syndicate, that ACB transfer, because there has been major uproar. I think it was probably unprecedented that there was a lot of response from people. They said, okay, they went there were rallies taken out, but nothing really happened. I think even then later on, Bhupati Babu was also shifted out. And what is your take on this?
See, as far as the liquor, the scam and the investigation by the police officers, which is Anti-Corruption Bureau and all this, see, there is what do you call some kind of a portfolio given to us. You investigate and do this. The police forces did that. They found some people, evidence, or most of the evidence which came was from people, who gave some kind of a very oral statement. See, in most of these cases, it's interested parties. Both sides benefit. I'm not saying that the system doesn't exist, nor as even a superintendent of police, I wouldn't have endorsed the system because it could have been in the know of me or my seniors. Yeah. But when this scamming took place, let's say they went and inquired with someone else and they said, okay, we gave the money to some extent. It could be Usha, it could be Anjaneyulu, it could be someone else. Yeah. But when you give that, there has to be credible evidence to book cases. However, that practice was not followed by the investigating agency. Also, it is found that when a lot of these investigations take place, these are all done in confidence, but when they start appearing in the media, and the media starts driving the investigation, then obviously, there is going to be a lot of, colored investigation. It becomes very difficult to do that. And when the investigation is going to bring embarrassment to the government, obviously, there is bound to be change of the leadership, because, no officer is permanent. If it is not Mr. Bhupati Babu, Mr. Prasada, who has a greater credibility, is also there, that equal credibility. I won't say greater credibility, equal credibility. It's not more. So the investigation goes on. Why it became the media-driven investigation, that's something you all know how media operates. So at that point of time, then it suited them, then it works out. But I agree. I only want to say this thing when it comes to the liquor, this thing is, it's not something which is a new thing which has been discovered at that point of time by the media. I really don't know why it came up at that point of time. But it's something which has been there since ages, and that the liquor and there were large number of names of the media persons who were also taking money, and that was silenced. Because there's no evidence. While in the case they came with the officers, we could find some evidence and they arrested, which I think could have been avoided as far as I'm concerned, but then.
Yes. Okay. Then we just touch upon Telangana movement. Generally, what as laymen we hear is that a report was sent to the center that it will lead to a major law and order issue, and hence a separate state at this point of time is not at all viable or advisable. So, what is your take on that?
See, most of these things come in the media. Who could have sent the report? No DG can send a report to the Delhi. No government. The central government asked for some report from Justice Sri Krishna Committee. They gave it. Unofficially, there could be reports sent by intelligence agencies. That is also central government relies on their own wings of intelligence, and which works with the MHA, and they would have sent some reports. Now, irrespective of, giving Telangana or not giving Telangana is a political decision. It has got nothing to do with any of these things. It's a political call which the political party which is right now in power along with its allies has to take the call.
Okay. But what about the governor's report? We heard that governor had sent a report that it is not.
I really don't know whether the governor has given a report, because I don't know about it. Maybe governor has given a report, but I really don't know about it except for what is reported in the media. Obviously, being a governor, and he would be, and being earlier an intelligence officer, he would be giving various reports to these things. But one thing which everyone must realize is this: the call for the separate Telangana, even before, very long ago, before various political parties raised these issues. This is a document which was floated by the extremists, the Maoist Naxalites, in the early 90s itself. And the very fact that if Telangana is created is their dream. They planned this red corridor from Telangana, starting from, then going to Chhattisgarh, then going to Bihar, Jharkhand, and into Nepal. This is their dream. And in their great grand plan, Telangana was the first state which they wanted to achieve. And in fact, they used to call the North Telangana, they used to have various committees for their various regions where they were present. They used to call it as North Telangana Special Zonal Committee, and they called it a liberated zone in the late 90s. So the very fact that Telangana is going to be achieved is definitely a realization of their Maoist doctrine. That doesn't mean that, someone is opposed to it. That doesn't mean that tomorrow political executive will not take a call on that. Yet, finally, they have to take the call. Should we accede or not? But if they do it, then finally, obviously, the original propounder is Maoist. Subsequently, everyone else came and, they took their pound of flesh, because each one sees some kind of a gain, political gain or otherwise gain in that entire concept. That's why everyone joined the bandwagon.
But at this point, I think a lot of people from the general population would disagree. They would say that there has been, in fact, clear-cut evidence of people supporting the movement now, where it has gone down to the grassroots, and at every level, probably in every sphere of activity, there has been clear-cut and evidence support to a separate Telangana. Is it not recognized by the state as such?
Let me tell you the sentiment. This is what you are calling is the Telangana sentiment. Telangana sentiment has been prevalent not now, since ages. Okay, I can't even recall it. Even when in the 60s, 70s, 80s, or even when this was not done, and in 90s, and late early 2000, 2004, then 2009, the sentiment absolutely is there for the realization of a statehood. I absolutely accept it. When there is no second doubt about it. But there is also, let's say, in Telangana state, like you have hardcore feelings for Telangana is you have in Warangal, Karimnagar, Adilabad, parts of Nizamabad, parts of Nalgonda.
Okay.
Definitely, after certain developments in 2009, after late Rajshekar Reddy's death, what all these movements could not do, the sentiment has gone deep into the minds of the people. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Okay, I absolutely accept that and I always acknowledge it. Yet, there are a large number of things which sentiments people would have for a lot of things. People wanted to be a tax-free state. People wanted to be government to give. So, will they acknowledge it or not is the secondary. That's why I said it's a political call. It's a political decision. Bureaucrats like me or others can't make the call. But I absolutely agree there is that. But there are various other issues too. Just giving a statehood or otherwise. There are national security issues. There's
a caller from Los Angeles who wants to know whether you think if a separate Telangana is given, it would be difficult to manage law and order. Would there be a law and order problem? And if it is not given, would there still be a law and order problem? What do you think of that?
See, in terms of, definitely giving a Telangana is almost a realization of the Maoist state, and there is bound to be increase in the activities for some time to come. But over a period of time, the police is competent to handle it, and it will come down.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's look at this scenario. You see, in the last 2 years, the Telangana, there was a feeling that Telangana was being given. There were a lot of agitations which took place. They have been handled. Obviously, the state has got affected in various other fronts, but they've been handled. The police can handle either way.
Okay.
There is no issue with that.
Okay.
And I don't think police is going to say, don't give it because of this problem. Because you're going to have law and order problems, don't give it. There is bound to be increase in this, and finally, central government is in the best shape to decide on this call.
Okay.
But there is going to be a problem, and that, looking at the larger national, let's look at the United States. It's got 51 states. You want breaking them down into smaller states, you have each one smaller structure. What is the strength of this country has been the federal structure. After India came in 1947 and 50. Earlier we were principalities like under the British, and much before under the Muslim rule, and much before we were never a nationhood. We became a nationhood only after independence.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind, and in this visa scenario where you have various, the national security scenario with large number of border countries, where you have so many other issues. So is it some call which the political executive, so obviously they have greater input, so they would take the call. But either way, the police would be able to handle this problem. Maybe it will take some time to get around the problem, but they will be able to handle. That's not an issue at all. So if the central government is not saying, the police has, I don't think that's the reason.
Okay.
They have much larger issues. This is one of the issues.
Yeah. And now a lot of people want to know, we have to bring it up, the OU, the lathi charge, which turned pretty ugly. So what happened? What happened there? Because I guess you're the best person to share with us what happened there, and whether it was a suitable move considering that emotions were running high at that point of time.
See, this primarily, definitely this one university was at that point of time, they were almost like leading the Telangana agitation. Almost they were at that point of time, almost the political parties which were also championing the cause of Telangana were also almost at the beck and call of the students.
Yeah.
The reason why that agitation took place, I won't say that the students should not undertake agitations or political, because after all, it's been part of this thing. You have earlier also had incidents where, there was an MLA, Mr. Nagam Janardhan Reddy was beaten. So many other incidents happened. In one incident, Mr. Some of the ex-MLAs of TRS, Robert Chase and all this. That point of time, on that day, there were large number of extremist elements which were there in the campus. And like every day they were undertaking, the police forces have been trying to do their best to, but so since 1.5 months that has been going on, and that day it went violent, and a call had to be taken regarding the what needs to be done to maintain the law and order. And that was only in that interest it was taken. It was not anti-student, it was not anti-women student or anything else. What happened there is whatever I told you that day and whatever subsequently, was presented to the Supreme Court, because it went up to the Supreme Court finally, and the Supreme Court had to intervene because High Court initially said that don't have the police forces in the campus. But then the state had to move the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court finally said no, you have to maintain the law and order. You may be an educational institution, you have to maintain the law and order. You can't take the law into the. As per that it went. Whatever was said that day, on that day, and whatever happened was done. And it needed to be done.
Okay.
So there are no second thoughts about it because the decision was taken and it needed to be done.
Okay. I would like to move on to probably your personal profile as a policeman. You have come to be known for something called counseling. It's a charming term. So we just wanted to know, when you were in Kurnool and Guntur as superintendent of police, what was it? How did this concept of counseling come to be?
See, this is more, I have said this, counseling is more of a media term.
Okay.
Okay, there is nothing. See, there are a number of steps. Every SP, they would have taken to in terms of maintaining the law and order. And every step which I take in maintaining, in terms of maintaining law and order is not an individual initiative. It could be an individual initiative, but it's not being done as Anjaneyulu. It's being done because I'm there as a representative of the state. So, and the state stands by it. Obviously, there are things where you take it up and the media found it as counseling as a very, they took it up and popularized it, not because I never called it counseling, and most of the time I never shared it with it because what steps are being taken, we can roughly talk, but what exactly is being done in a detail, we can never talk with people. But then media found it nice, so they gave that coverage. But I don't think every SP, even now, in terms of maintaining law and order, they keep taking up a number of steps. Maybe others are taking much better steps.
Was there anything that you were something very specific that you had done? Nothing that other people could do as part of this.
See, I see whatever initiative those part of times which was taken in either in Kurnool, Guntur, or even up till Vijayawada, I have to give that credit very clearly that the senior leadership was absolutely in support. Because without the support of the senior leadership, because at that point of time, a lot of people keep saying that, okay, you're close to this person, or it's only happens. It's never that. Whoever is the senior leadership, then the DGP and other senior officers, including the DIG, IG, and so many other, because police is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
So you have to have their support to first carry out those things.
Yeah.
And the credit goes with all of them, but being an SC, you take much of the credit.
Mm-hmm.
And after doing all these things, the state government has to support it.
Okay.
So you see, when I said that, that's why I said, the politicians have been always, political executive has been always been very, very supportive.
Okay. Okay.
So without their support, at that point of time, whoever will see, and subsequently also, without their support, it would have been not possible at all.
But then again, there has been, you would probably say it's like media creation or something. There have been, it was written, it was heard, it was said that in spite of the controversies, in spite of, it is because it was you could manage to get support, and probably any other police officer in your position would not have been able to. Which is why, at that point of time, it was even said that you have been promoted in spite of whatever controversies you had behind you.
I won't hesitate. You might be hesitating to mention. I was looking at whatever happened in the Vijayawada, the personal point of view where a particular person took it up. And see, there is very clearly, if anyone else who would have been in the scenario, there are two options for me.
Yeah.
Don't answer to anyone absolutely hide my face and just shut it off. I didn't say that. I said I did it for this purpose. And whatever I said it, there is something.
Okay.
And I hold with it. I absolutely stand with it. Whatever I had said that day, hold with it. I mean, I'm not denying it. Now, whether it should have been done or not is debatable. Okay, and for which departmentally the DG/the government can take, whatever is action. Now the promotion, a lot of people said that I was promoted in spite of that. That's not correct. A lot of people are not aware that I had been asking for a transfer since 2 months. Although some people thought only because I got transferred for that. Then my departmental promotion committee had cleared my name in the month of December itself to be promoted as IGP. So once that is cleared, no other thing can stop it.
Okay.
And then I was promoted. Then I was sent to APSP, but then there was another officer who wanted to continue there. I stayed back and then I was sent to Greyhound. So it's absolutely happens as a system, and I don't think anyone who is individually also can support me can bypass the system and operate. That's the beauty of bureaucracy. That's also the weakness of bureaucracy.
Yeah. Whether it is the Vijayawada episode or the encounters in HRC, would you have done it differently? I mean, because could you envisage that something like this was going to happen, some kind of such major fallout was going to happen? Would you have done it differently if you think back and...
Vijayawada thing is absolutely avoidable, and there are no second thoughts about it. When looking back at it, in fact, a lot of people said, why you spend so much time on the media? When anyone could have went, then obviously I went to spend about 15 minutes, but then once you get into the media, you know how it is. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And various other characters come and then you keep answering. Yeah, definitely I would like to have avoided the episode. Whether I would have done it differently, maybe I really do not know how it would be, because it's difficult now to do the post-mortem. As far as whatever is happening regarding the NHRC remarks and all this, see, these things, on the encounters and various other things, most of it which has come in the media, I don't wish to comment on it, because these are all things which are done as part of, while in the course of discharge of duties. That's why, a lot of things I can't come and give you the nitty-gritties. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. I can't answer. In fact, I've been absolutely... In fact, a lot of people said, why you have been silent when there was so much furor on the NHRC episode? While in the personal they were trying to attack, I thought at that point of time, it's always best to answer. Maybe I shouldn't have spent so much time on the media, which I absolutely accept. And then I did in the course of my duty, which the state is aware, the senior leadership is aware, and it was an NHRC, which is a fact-finding body. So I have my own, communication modes to answer them through processes. I can't go back into the media and answer.
As in that case, talking of Vijayawada controversy, you have been moved out of there, and then what happened? Is that necessarily the fallout that we should expect, that the police officer, because who's a government employee, he gets moved, but what happens with the politicians who have been involved in this, right, in a positive or negative way? What happens to them? Do they just continue like this?
No, see, it was not first of all, it was not a ruling party person who undertook that episode.
Okay.
It was an opposition party, so he has a right to undertake his choice, and he operated through a media which he thought he was comfortable to operate with.
Yes.
The reason why I think maybe I would have moved out was the government. Obviously, I can't be an embarrassment to the government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after all, if I can, I should strengthen the hands of the government, but rather than being an embarrassment to the government. Yeah. So at that point of time, when I shouldn't have spent so much time. I should have just given a small reply, a video recorded and sent it off. Maybe that would have been the fine. Now, irrespective of that, my transfer was inevitable.
Yeah. Okay.
See, the transfer was inevitable. So, like some people claim it's because of them, fine. If it's going to give them their satisfaction, fine. I don't have any options for it. The transfer was inevitable, and I had myself asked for it. Mm-hmm. Whether the politician, that's fair enough. I told you, the politicians, and I can't compare myself with the politician. Their life is different. And anyway, he was an opposition politician. Mm-hmm. So we will not get into that, and it leads into that. And the people are the best judges.
Okay. So all this, publicity and all, whether your appearance on media or the media taking up, cudgels against you or something, all this, has it affected your personal life or professional life in some manner?
No, absolutely not. I'm talking to you. I've answered questions to the greatest extent possible, including on Telangana. I might have personally different feelings on the statehood of Andhra Pradesh, but I've given you a very honest answers. Two, personal life is absolutely, a lot of people didn't know about it, but my wife was always aware of whatever these small things which transgressed on other, she was always aware of it, so there was no problem at all. And it has never affected my moral. Because if I would have become a cynic. First, I wouldn't have accepted to do an interview with you. Two, I don't think I would have been spending my time. I would have left my service and gone back. But no, I just continued and I'm there because it's part of life. See, when I can get good name, obviously inevitable is a career span, which is avoidable. I mean, I can't absolutely, it's avoidable, but sometimes then, you obviously get into those things.
Yeah, and we have seen that, this is attitude that probably, made you some kind of a legendary figure as far as people are concerned, because that is how they refer to you. And I have seen myself that when I am interacting with policemen on different levels, they always take your name with a sense of awe or in a special tone. So, given all this, we would like to talk about the films that were made on you, because I remember that you appeared on a channel, Gemini or some channel, and you acknowledged that the film was indeed on you. So, can you tell us about, how it happened?
No, see, there were several of some of these incidents which they had based out. I don't want to get into it. But I happen to know a few police officers, and you know how films are. Films are more of an exaggerated version of the normal life, whether it is romance or action or otherwise. So likewise, I have a few friends and they did make a few films and they took the concept. I won't say it's an exact thing. They have borrowed it, either Jagapati or it could be Srikanth or it even Venkatesh or others. So they borrowed it and they did it. Sometimes the heroes may not be aware of it. Sometimes the writers borrowed it. He did it. So it's you can't take it as an absolute truth. I don't think I should get carried away with it, because I think it's more you should treat them as friends and then leave it off rather than get carried away with films being made. Because they make films finally at the end of the day, if their films are going to make money or not. They are not going to make just for the heck of it. Okay.
Yeah, but then again, you are one of the few police officers who said, okay, this is my number, you can just call me anytime and then I am available, a bit like the Shivamani thing. It's in fact said that even Shivamani has been inspired by you. So, do you think it actually works in our system? I mean, the commissioner of a city being, or an SP of a district being available to anybody all and sundry who can just call him. Does it work for us?
It actually, in the long run, doesn't work.
Okay,
let's be very, very honest. In fact, my announcing the phone number, in fact, so many film came subsequently after that when I gave this number in Guntur, just before that in Kerala. But it's avoidable, because first the system should work. If the SI is not working, CI is not working, you give a number saying that you may come to me. So you try to project yourself as a hero or something like that. And the rest of the system is all... but one is, first, you can't handle those calls.
Yeah.
You get mad. You get wild with the number of calls, maybe one day, second day, third day, then after that you get wild with it. So the reason why we used to undertake at that point of time, because as an overall state policy, overall the DG, where you used to be more reachable to everyone. So, but at the end of the day, after maybe about 2-3 months and all this, then, the calls keep, and they become routine, or, people start calling up for their individual favors. But it's okay that in the long run that you've done that, it's a good media exercise, people will know it, and but in the long run, I don't think anyone can handle it. Like, for example, as a Guntur ST, it was very difficult for me to handle calls. Even as Vijayawada Commissioner, I was becoming nightmarish. Because at night, 3 o'clock, they would call you for some very small thing, which is absolutely, I think, I don't think I can do anything about it.
Okay.
I imagine Hyderabad Commissioner, he would go crazy, actually.
Okay. So, to whatever extent you could give your number, do you think it helps, to change people's perception about police being accessible and inaccessible or whatever?
Yeah, to about 40 to 50%. See, anything I personally feel is, if you can do around 50, you're absolutely okay. Beyond 60, I don't think it's, have been able to do at any point of time, unless the system works. If your SI is working, CI is working, then you don't need to do this. If they are all able to also carry on with the same spirit, then, it works with the system.
Yeah.
But single-handedly, if you think you're going to run the entire act, it's like.
Yeah. Okay. So then that actually calls for a question on the lower ranks of the police force. There are corruption is pretty rampant. Whether it's starting from everybody is aware of it because all of us have undergone that kind of an experience one time or the other. So does it? How does this change? I mean, how is it possible to change it?
I mean, this is something which I have also been thinking. I won't say that there is not, if I say that there is no corruption, it's incorrect. So, the problem with the police corruption vis-a-vis the corruption with the other departments or other places is, here police people come to the police when they have a problem.
Yeah.
Okay. While if you are in the other department, let's say you want a ration card, you want a gas card, you want some other certificate, you don't mind paying the money to get your quickly and get out of it. Okay.
Yeah.
While in police you are already in pain, in your house there is a problem, or you have your vehicle has met with an accident, and to release that money that fellow is asking. So this is where the problem is. In fact, the corruption in the police department is almost petty in comparison with the other department. But then it hurts you because you're already much badly hurt, and you expect this is the only agency which should help you out.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been various steps taken by the government as well as the police leadership, but then it keeps happening still inevitably. One reason which I think is primarily is the huge financial not being able to support the lower systems totally. That could be one of my understandings, but now I think it's become almost like, the fellow who's there is just trying to make a fast buck. It's like something called as a speed corruption which happens in customs department. I'm very sure it happens across the world. You get your something, you want to get it cleared, you don't mind your worth of the object is, let's say it's 3 million, but you'd be very happy if you evaluate it at 50,000 because your customs duty would be something like that. So get out of it. But there you're happy with it because it suits your need. Here it's like that. Absolutely it's correct. I really don't know when the solution will come forth, but I seriously hope it comes through.
Yeah, there's a question of...
But let me tell you one thing. In spite of that, these people have been absolutely effective.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in various reasons. Because if you used to know, Andhra Pradesh is known for their dacoities around Rangareddy. These big offences have almost disappeared. They are very, very efficient. Mm-hmm. And they address different kinds of IPS officers. See, you can imagine as an SP, every 2 years, 1.5 years, some person, each one different comes with different leadership style and different logic. Mm-hmm. But they suit to themselves and they keep working this out.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's absolutely an efficient system.
Yeah. Okay.
But then it's corrupt, something needs to be done.
No, but as you said, I guess, because notionally, I think it's wrong for a law enforcement officer to actually, to ask for a favor to do exactly what he's supposed to do. Symbolically, it is pretty shocking for anybody. But I guess even people have come to accept it as a fact of life now. Wherever you meet a policeman on the road, and in case you...
Yeah, absolutely. I can see, whenever a traffic person, they just give them the easiest. Yeah. And the problem is, whenever you put up a new law, okay, which you can't enforce. It's something like smoking. Mm-hmm. Smoking in India was made an offense in public places.
Okay.
Whenever you put up some kind of a law which is least, then you are increasing the avenues for corruption. Like for smoking, it's the easiest. For example, there's a rich guy driving a Merc. I know a friend of a guy who's contested elections and also he says he keeps himself with 500 rupees notes. Whenever someone stops him when he's smoking, he just gives this 500 rupees, or when he's cell phone talking and all. He says, in a month, how many times will I get caught? Max once. It doesn't matter much. So this is how people also think.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Then there's a question about the salaries. And I mean, it has to do a lot with frustration among the lower ranks. It's a salaries, what is happening with that? I mean, the salary structure of the police and...
Salary structure is with government. Any government employee salary, every government employee wants it to be like, Microsoft or, a Deloitte employee or someone else. It's not possible. You see, like the constable is complaining, the IPS officers also keep complaining.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an IIT guy who is with us and then he draws us some money. Then he sees his own colleague from IIT who's gone and who's minting money somewhere else. He's crippled. Why he's being paid? But then you have chosen and come here.
Oh.
In spite of that, police, there are various other facilities which are made available in terms of housing and all this. They may not be great, but there are facilities which are available.
Okay. Yeah.
Then second, in terms of, when they do a lot of duties, there are a lot of inbuilt facilities which are given into them.
Okay.
I've always been saying you, always something more can be done. I'm never denying that fact.
Mm-hmm.
And salaries, off late they've increased in terms of these pay revision commissions and all these things they've increased. But as I've said, something more can be done. If more can be done, it's fine, happy. But then, it depends on the government's financial capacity. More needs to be done, more taxes needs to be imposed on people, and then what happens.
Yes, sir. Okay, we have a caller in the studio. We would like to ask a question later.
Please.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes. My name is Subhash. I am in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Please,
And
Mr. Subhash.
I would like to ask the guest.
Hi.
Hello, Mr. Anjaneyulu garu. I have heard what you are talking about, the corruption in the police cadre in India, but that's not my interest. My point is this, that you are very controversial. You have been accused of many misdeeds.
Okay.
Now, if I come to you, how would I be sure that you would do justice to me with that much controversy to your name?
Most of these controversies which you are hearing and you being in Baton Rouge or elsewhere in India, I don't think actually if you interact you would know. You will have that kind of a feeling. It's the only way I can explain. There's no other way which can explain.
No, I'm talking about
What is the
Times
measure
of
of
India, I'm talking about
to...
the media, I'm talking about the TV, I'm talking about the proof. I'm not just, I'm a 65-year-old man, and I move in the highest circles in Andhra Pradesh. I know very senior IPS officers both at the federal level and at the central level and the state level. It's not that I'm talking to you like an ordinary guy.
Fair enough. Correct. So what is the measure of this thing that I would do it or not? Is only when once people have interacted whether I've been able to do it. I have also told you that, if 100 people have come to me, I have never said that I have done justice to all 100. I have never claimed that. I'm very clearly saying if I can do up to 50%, I'm extremely happy. I haven't said that I haven't made mistakes. Obviously, I would have made mistakes in my decisions. But to the extent possible, my intentions have been always honorable. If two people come in and sometimes I'll help the wrong person. I don't deny, I never have denied that. And I've always been very honest.
You are known to use excessive force. You are known to use very uncalled for amount of force. So how in the world can I expect you to do justice? Not to me. I am not worried because I have enough clout. But I'm talking about regular, normal people in the society.
No. See, if you have, as you have claimed that I've been using excessive force, and if still, I will always claim that I have never used excessive force. This is something which the media has claimed. This is something which someone else has said. I have always operated within the boundaries of the law, within a system which my senior officers have supported, within which the state government has permitted.
Your senior officer was Arvind Rao. Arvind Rao himself has been asked by the Supreme Court to vacate his office. So I'm not worried about your senior officers. I know what you did in the Usmania University.
No. I have worked in, let's be very honest. You are only talking about something. When I worked in Kurnool and I worked in Guntur, there were different DGPs. I didn't work with Mr. Arvind Rao. He was there as a DGP for just about 8 to 10 months. I worked as SP before a long time. You are only talking something which has happened in the recent past. And it's a matter of trust. Obviously, I said to you that if you are not able to trust, then this little that I can do about it. But I have always said that I never helped all the 100 people. I said if I can operate at a level of 50% of whatever I've been able to do, I'm happy. That was first my standing when I was speaking to this Usha. That's what I told her. If I can do 50%, I'm happy. If I can reach 60, amazing. I have never said that I'm doing 100% justice. There are all solutions available here. I have never claimed that. There are systems. I haven't also said that I've done everything right.
Okay, I think we just have about another 2-3 minutes remaining on the show, and I'm assuming there are no other questions. So we would like to wrap up now, and I have one last question. I mean, given that you have also heard the latest question from Mr. Subhash, given all this, taking all this into consideration, if you were to give a rating on a scale of 10 for AP police, how much would you give?
Tell me what is the range? 1 to 10 or 1 to 5?
Yeah, it is 1 to 10, 10 being the highest.
So I said around 8.
My rating to Andhra Pradesh Police,
Hello? Yeah, apparently.
I'm not able to hear him. I can hear him. Yeah, he was saying my rating to Andhra Pradesh Police.
Yeah, we just lost him. I think that call got dropped off.
I'm very sure he would be sitting at 3 or 4. But then, yeah, that's okay with him. Absolutely. He's entitled to his viewpoint. I'm never entitled. Each one is entitled to their viewpoints, and absolutely, that's what makes it democracy.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm absolutely okay with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Usha. Thank you. Great time. Have a great time to everyone.
Yeah, it was a great pleasure having you, and you've been pretty candid, I guess, on most of the questions. So thank you very much. It was a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Usha. Bye-bye.